What is up, my Lorcana Goons, and welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. I'm here with Zach Stone for our Friday weekly market watch. We just finished the World Tournament last weekend, Zach Stone. We got to watch it. We got to see DKP take first place. We talked about it a little bit on the Meta Watch video on Monday, but now we're going to talk about some more news updates. We have some information coming out now, like this whole new world promo card that's sold on Whatnot for $11,000. Zach Stone, how are you doing on this Friday for the Friday weekly market watch, where we talk about meta trends, Lorcana news, and card prices?
I am doing pretty well on this 4th of July Friday. And yeah, the Whatnot seller, I think it was World Class Cards, they sold one of the foil promos, the whole new world promo, for $11,050, guys. So we have a confirmed public sale on this card. We know what it's bottoming out is at least 10,000, right? It's a lot of people did kind of expect it to go up a lot more. We do have the whole new world pin, and this is an eBay listing. I don't believe it's sold. I think there is around like a $400-$500 sale somewhere. I think it's on eBay, but I'm not too sure. But this is the pin that was also given out to all the world's competitors. So they were given one promo of the whole new world, one pin, and one whole new world sleeves, all using the same kind of cover art. So it's really cool that the world's competitors got some exclusive pricing, but the fact that we got some data and some public sale records of the whole new world promo this early is really cool. I think a lot of people were expecting it to go for a little less, and then there were some people that thought it would go for way more. Kevin, do you think it's sold at a fine price?
The actual card itself, I mean, it's a card, right? It's a card you get for just being a participant in the World Tournament. If somebody had told me here's $11,000 for a piece of cardboard, that's a fine price to me. It's a fine price to me. I do understand the scarcity. I do feel like Lorcana is in a certain space right now where it has its collectability, it has its fan base, but let's be real, it's not as like huge as like some of the other like collectible card games. So I think it's pretty high. I think 11K is a lot, for a game that's this new and for a game that seemingly seems to feel like it's some would say falling off right now. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, Zach, the pin listed for a lot, the cards selling for a lot. I do want to point out DKP, our Lorcana World Champion, got his gold Mickey graded by CGC and it came back a pristine 10. Check that out. Here's the 1 of 1 World Championship Golden Mickey, a pristine 10. Now, personally, I think this is awesome, but I feel like I would have much rather have gotten it graded by PSA, Beckett, or something. I don't know. What do you guys think in the chat? I want to hear your opinion. How do you feel about DKP getting a pristine 10 on his Mickey, but going through CGC for it?
I don't really have too many strong thoughts or opinions. I think it was kind of like a networking opportunity, and they have like some promotion around like slabbing like very like sought after collectibles and singles. Pretty much mainly known for comic book grading. And fun fact, Kevin, about once a month, CGC posts up at Frankensons and it has like a little like submission. Like
Oh,
you can submit your cards, yeah, you can submit your
really?
stuff there, and they'll grade it. Yeah.
I did not know that.
They,
That's
they
really
do.
cool. Wow.
Yeah, it's nothing that's like heavily advertised, I don't think, but yeah, they do that. And this is still really cool to see. I know DKP has no intentions of ever selling this card. I wouldn't either. Honestly, this is such an
Really?
amazing. Like this is part of the trophy. Like this is what the trophy also has alongside it too. And I love that he immediately got it slabbed and encased. That it is going to be well protected regardless. And I'm glad Ravensburger has, made sure to ensure that any copy, this was a pristine copy that they were going to make, like they made sure. They may have even had to like make a bunch of different copies to like find the right one, and then they have to destroy every other copy that they're not going to keep because this is a 1 of 1 world champion card. And again, if we haven't said it enough, congrats DKP, you for sure deserve it.
And during the World Tournament, Zach, they dropped a bunch of bombs on us. A bunch of news came out this week, last weekend, about DLCs, about pricing. We have a bunch of opinions on that. Very briefly, I do want to talk about the pricing, right? Because we're on the Market Watch, and at some point, these prizes are going to be, put up on TCG Player, on eBay, etc., etc. And there's a couple things I want to point out here, like the fact that we are getting non-foil versions of the Dragonfire and the Let It Go promos. I'm not sure how this will impact the price, but if you're someone who wanted your full art Dragonfire, your full art Let It Go, and you don't want to necessarily pay the 40 or $800 for these cards or earn it, in last DLC season, then now you can get them at this DLC prize wall. And then even some additional new prizes. We have the Pegasus, the gift for Hercules, Mulan charging ahead, a Simba Pride Protector, and the Elsa Ice Maker. I believe the Elsa is for top 32 or top 16. It's top 32. The Simba's for top 64. Mulan you get for winning 5 matches in the DLC, and Pegasus as your entry promo, right?
Yes, I think it's like 5 wins, like you mentioned, but then these are the foil versions that you're going to be obtaining. The prize wall has the non-foil versions for you, but
Yes, yes.
Kevin, let's talk about the playmats. The playmats are actually we're given options now. Instead of that Cinderella being the only one you can obtain on the prize wall, they got a couple different playmats you can get from the prize wall, as well as the Elsa mat that is not available on the prize wall, similar to how the Rapunzel wasn't available on the prize wall. And I think, if correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below, but I think at the Melbourne DLC they had that mat available on the prize wall. I don't know how many tickets you needed to obtain that Rapunzel mat, but it was available on the prize
I do
wall.
remember that,
So
yeah.
there is a little bit more than whatever amount of DLCs times like 16 or 8. There's more mats than that, right? And so it's good to know that like the other mat will not be on the prize wall. They're kind of like making this like solidified by announcing what will be on the prize wall this year. And we hope that won't change because honestly, I think some exclusivity to some of these prizing earned at the DLCs needs to have like that collectability aspect where like it can only be obtained in a certain way.
And I know there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt with the Lorcana community right now. The big conversation is the fact that we're only getting 3 DLCs in North America and 3 in like the Europe region, if I'm not mistaken, as opposed to the like 5/6 we had in both regions last year. And this is because they're adding more events worldwide, as we've seen. Once again, Zach and I obviously have certain opinions on it, working on a different video, but we're definitely disappointed. I definitely want to be able to play as many events as possible. Yesterday they had a lore cast, and they went over just a little bit more brief details in case you guys haven't seen that lore cast. But basically, they went over in the Infinity format, which we're gonna have one DLC in Infinity format. It will start with no bans, so you can use Flaversham, all you Blue Steel players. No additional DLCs for season 2. Just getting that out there right away. And I didn't expect any new DLC additions. Stuff like that takes a year plus to plan in advance probably. Season 3 starts next rotation. There is going to be possibly more events, so they are listening to what we're saying. But this is what sucks: the 2,048 player cap. This is, I think, where people are scared because it was the same cap as last year, and there was a lot of disappointed people last year. People who couldn't get into the events, people who, you know what I mean? They couldn't get tickets, and now there's even less events, right, Zach?
Yeah, it's a little disheartening. I do want to kind of add to this that then they announced that they're going to have another season. They did give us a different structure of the rounds, how we're going to be playing them, and what they're cutting to their top cut is. It is a cut to top 32. So I do want to mention that like 2,048 players and a cut to top 32 is a bit more accurate. If they increased to around 4,000, I would have hoped that we would have seen an increased like day 2 capacity, like up to top 64, like we were originally used to seeing. But it's, bittersweet because I still think that I'm going to be able to go to most, if not all, of the North American DLCs. I'm even going to try to travel
Yeah.
abroad, but not everyone is in a situation or circumstance to be able to, and I totally understand that. And that's what sucks. It really sucks for the people that are, have so much limited time off or just have to make so many accommodations for maybe a larger party that they're traveling with, like with their family and whatnot. So it sucks, but I I think the future is bright. I think we just have to kind of weather the storm. No pun intended there. But it does feel a little bit salty. But we will have an additional video coming out hopefully this weekend where we go over more of our thoughts and feelings on all of the news for the next season of DLCs.
Yeah, you just gotta let the storm rage on, as they say, bro. Set the storm rage on, set it out a little bit. We don't know what's into the unknown, but sometimes you just gotta let it go. But I think
Hey, the cold never bothered me
there
anyway.
you go. There you go. But I think the thing that worries me about all this is that this does make an impact on the overall market. This is the Market Watch, by the way. And that's why we talked about all this first, because if you guys don't know Cosmic Plays, he does some awesome videos yearly going over like the top 10 hobbies of the industry in a sense, and he just made a new video, and the thumbnail is literally titled "Lorcana is Lorcana crashing or Lorcana is crashing," right? And the whole video goes over the overall card game market. Very, very informative video. Recommend you guys go check it out. But this is really what I wanted to point out, that last year in the top 10 TCG realms, Lorcana was number three. You had Magic, Pokemon, Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh, then One Piece, right? Big five. The big three. Lorcana infiltrated the big three, and the big three just used to be, as it is this year, Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. Number four is One Piece. Number five is Lorcana. Now, I'm not really tripping too much about like Yu-Gi-Oh making its way back into the top three. Like that's just the Yu-Gi-Oh's Yu-Gi-Oh. It's always going to be a very big game. But really, what I'm focusing on is this difference of Lorcana being number three to number five, and One Piece going over on top. Lorcana is a great game, and it's a little bit more popular for sure than these other games, Star Wars, Digimon, etc., etc. But it just feels like without the events, without the support from Ravensburger, like the game is falling off. And the game is always going to be around. I'm pretty sure it's going to survive because the community is so big and has such a big fandom. But looking at it from the perspective of a local game store situation, there's like little to no reason to pick up Lorcana any more than you would pick up these games like Star Wars, Digimon, Dragon Ball Fusion World, these games that really, really did fall off. And a lot of it is because there's no interest because there's no events. This whole year of not having events made a very big impact on the local game store level. And I know stores who have just dropped Lorcana now because it's not worth it to them. And like the whole ecosystem works together. Like you need to have your hyper competitive players who are going to travel to every state to play all these events in order to have the same casual players who play in the same tournaments. And I don't think like people understand that. So it's a little worrisome in my opinion. What do you think, Zach?
I do want to say, since I'm selling Lorcana singles and I'm buying in Lorcana singles, that it does feel a little bit, I'm a little uncomfortable with the amount of stuff I have, and it's not worrisome because I'm sure that in the long term this game will still be around. But like in a business standpoint, like if you have periods, you have quarters where you're taking like losses, it's really hard to sustain as a business, right? So you have to kind of like manage your funds, manage your liquidity, and that's why like hobby stores can diversify their portfolios and go into multiple different card games, right? They can expand or they can even pull back, and that's what they have done. Some have done with Lorcana. Some people in our comments have talked about their game stores no longer carrying Lorcana singles or no longer buying it in. Sometimes they're just completely offering very like dirt compared to like what they would offer on like Magic and Pokemon. It's a little slow right now, but I think overall, long term wise, the game has a bright future. It's going to be a
Mhm.
little tough. So I encourage everybody that does have a local game store that is carrying Lorcana product and is selling it at a reasonably fair price to support them, because they are taking on a bigger risk than I think anyone can imagine. And as somebody that is involved in this space, it's tough, but we're hanging in there, especially at Frankenstein's Collectible Show, where you can buy your singles from me every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm located in booth M4 in the card room. Make sure you come say hi to me because I want to give you guys a shout out. So shout outs to Darren and shout outs to Brian for coming by. I appreciate all you guys and everyone's support that does visit me. But overall, make sure you guys come visit me so I can give everyone an open shout out here on the channel every Friday.
And if you guys don't have a local game store or a local Zach Stone that you guys can support, you guys can also go on the Ravensburger.us website right now, because you can pick up first chapter Japanese, Chinese, and English boxes potentially straight from Ravensburger in the US, right? So they actually have this randomized queue, which you basically enter, and you might get chosen to be able to buy one of these at the MSRP price. Instead of paying $350 for your first chapter boxes on the secondary market, you have a chance to get it for $150. And what I liked about this, about the announcement overall, is that the announcement literally says like this is the last time you're gonna be able to order first chapter, right? So like, rotation's happening very soon. I think the implication is that they're gonna stop printing first chapter. And if you guys want your Japanese, Chinese versions of it too, to, you can find it on the website, and you don't even have to get it through like a third-party distributor and get it from Japan. You're getting it from Ravensburger US. So we'll put the link in the description down below for that. I thought I wanted to share that with you guys because I know there's a lot of collectors that are going to watch this episode, and you have the potential to add more first chapter sealed boxes to your collection. And it's again like I don't think they're going to be adding any more anytime soon. But let's finally get into some cards, Zach Stone. Speaking of the first chapter, Stitch Carefree Surfer. This card is just going down in price more and more every week. The market price is 224, but today Top Deck Vault Cards has it for $205. It's about $20 less than the listed market price. So I think you can get a little bit of a discount on your Stitch Carefree Surfers if you want to add that to your Stitch collection. Wrong Lever Enchanted, though. We mentioned this a couple weeks ago. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, and I want to give myself a pat on the back on this one. I wish I would have bought like a playset, though, because they're no longer selling for 90 some dollars. Market price is 91. The most recent sale is $175, though. Before that, all of them were 91, 100, 93. So if you wanted it for less than $100, it's gone. You can't find it anymore. 140 seems kind of decent compared to 170. What do you think?
Yeah, the price has gone up exponentially, but it's interesting because there's a lot of enchanteds from Rain and Jafar that are pretty pricey, and there's less quantities. And I'm really curious if this means that like less product has been opened than other sets, because that would impact the enchanted market. And
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of collectors that when they buy these cards, they buy them to keep them and take them completely off the market, almost reducing the amount of supply that's ever going to be available. But without product being open, that also impacts the supply. So who knows, if people are not able to find their singles, they're going to have to start ripping packs to get them. And that again creates more and more fluctuating prices in the market. But this Yen Sid fluctuating heavily, and it's going up. We see brooms in the World Championship deck list, and this is a very good price to see for all you broom enjoyers out here. So $48 is looking like what you're going to have to pay for the cheapest enchanted Yen Sid. They're roughly around $60 on average. They do have 12 though. The Chicken Trader does got you at 12 copies for about $58. So you can get about 3 play sets with that, and I think it is a 4 of in the purple steel strategy. But yeah, Disney backwards. Who would have thought, right?
Some more Enchanted updates. The It Means No Worries Enchanted today lowest listing on TCG Player is 164. But look at these recent sales, dude. In the end of June, they were selling for $100, 130. But most recent sales, 165 and 160 as of yesterday. So this card's selling for more than 150. Listings right now, 164 by Casual Game Night. Then we have Void Zone Gaming, 165. Not too bad. Not too bad of a pull. I think this set has some decent enchanters, but some of the legendaries, some of the rares from this set, Zach, yeah, they're a little lackluster. So I do think there's less people interested in kind of chasing these enchanteds than, let's say, something like Acacia's Island, where you could pull some cards, that are still pretty decent while you're searching for your Tamatoa Enchanted or something, right? I do want to talk about some other expensive cards right now in the market. The Ana Icebreaker promo, the only listing available on TCG Player is $130. Market price is $54. So they've been selling for around $50. But if you guys have some of these and you want to list them on TCG Player, maybe take advantage of the fact that there's only one listing right now. Put it for like $90 or something. So see how that works out. But yeah, very interesting. Only one available. I know on eBay there you can find some for a little bit cheaper though, but like I said, take advantage of the lack of TCG Player listings. I think would be fun. Ana Braving the Storm, the lowest verified listing. There's only one. There's not even a verified listing. There's only one listing. It's $250. This card normally sells for around $100, as you can see in the first of this month. 85, then 119. So 120 is the most recent sale. Again, if you guys didn't know how to get these, you get these signature promos right here. You get these by going to the Disneyland parks the opening day of like the set comes out, right?
Yes, so they were giving those out for those that were at the parks on the release weekend, and it's a pre-release weekend. Normally, it's like the week or two before the official like big box release. And yeah, so far it's been Anna and Elsa. Who knows what's going to be for Fabled? But they only started doing this since set 7, so it's more of like a new thing. But the prices are crazy, and then these are collectible for sure. I just don't know where they're going to fall in the collector space, but they are collectible for sure.
And if you didn't know, the gap right there in the text is so that you can take it to the park yourself and get it signed. You can get it signed by the real life Anna and Elsa, right? It's kind of hard to find them though. From the very few times I've gone to Disneyland post Frozen, I don't think I've ever seen Anna and Elsa at the park. So that'd be a mission to find, in my opinion. Monstro. Cold foil Monstro Stone coming down in price a little bit. These were selling for like $12 today. Lowest verified is $9 by Waifu and Company. So I think that's a pretty good deal. We're gonna talk about cold foils right now though, because honestly, and then I say this especially after talking about this thing, Lorcana is down right now. Like non-foil Lorcana cards are dirt cheap. You know what I mean? The market is super cheap. Is the game crashing? I don't think so. Like Zach said, the community's big, the fan base is big, the game's thriving. We're gonna have DLCs, but it's not as big as the other games. So yeah, the prices are really cheap. So we're just mainly going over cold foils in this episode. Cold foil down in New Orleans, $5 today. Lowest verified 409 by Clay. Bulks up. Not a bad card. I think this card gets better over time too. So it's a super rare and it's a pretty cheap foil super rare in my opinion. Wrong lever foil. If you guys don't want your enchanted wrong levers, you can pay $5 to $7 for just a regular cold foil wrong lever, right? MSB Curiosities over here, $5.24 with some extra shipping. Then Yen King cards, $7 shipping included for your wrong lever foils. That's pretty good. That's a pretty nice pull from a pack right there. Keep it in your binder, get some trade bait. Scrooge McDuck. This cold foil still selling for around $30. Cardboard Diamonds has it for $28.98 right here. It's around $29. And the reason I bring this one up is because this card's still seeing a lot of play. We did see people piloting a item build Ruby Sapphire deck in the World Tournament, and I think that Scrooge McDuck just fits that build perfectly. And it's been coming down in price since its release, but from 35 to from like 40 to 35 to $30 is not too bad. So if you paid $40 for these cold foils like 3 months ago, they've only really gone down $10, and I think that's pretty good. So I do like cold foils for that reason. They kind of maintain their value even during these dark times where the market's hitting low, right? Maurice's Workshop. This cold foil is about to get rotated out potentially. It's from set 2, so there's a world where it doesn't survive the rotation, and it's selling for around $5 right now. So that's pretty cool. It's once again used in your item decks, so a $5 cold foil there. And we talked about Mulan, the Imperial General, last week, the non-foil, selling for $1. These cold foils sell for around $4 right here. We have some lowest listings right here, $2.85 with the $1.31 shipping. Then it jumps to $3.73 by Kitchen Table right there with some extra shipping. So around $3 to $4 for this cold foil version of Mulan. And then Hades first chapter. Hades Infernal Schemer from the first chapter. Zach, can you believe these first chapter legendary foils are still selling for like a pretty decent amount, dude? These prices are everywhere. We have some non-verified sellers have it for $31, but lowest verified is about $10 more, $42.86 with $5 shipping. Then Wasteland Gaming, $49.99. It's about a $50 cold foil going by the lowest verified, but then you can get it for around $31 by a non-verified seller.
It is an interesting thing to be able to say that Hades cold foils are objectively worth more than Monstrous Dragon cold foils. So
Right?
it's because the card is just a lot more playable because of how low costed we are. I think we're in a time now in Lorcana where like expensive uninkables like can be justified in certain deck lists, and I think because it's Sapphire that you have the ramp strategy that makes it more accessible and viable. Plus, being able to put something in the inkwell does have a little bit more application. You aren't banishing something over and over again that like Lilo Escape Artist could get some value from, or a character like Vinny is going to make sure you gain lore afterwards. But the Hades putting something into the inkwell is almost a very good, direct, clean answer. But who knows? Is it going to stay this high? Is it going to get rotated back in? Are we going to need it for Infinity format? Is Infinity format going to be too fast with the amount of cards that we have access to all in one card pool? We'll have to wait until time for tell. But right now, time is telling us that Power Hamster, although is still an expensive cold foil, is going down in price. I did see that this card was around like $30 for a cold foil not too long ago. We're starting to see the price go down to around like $23, $24 for your verified sellers. Card Class Central's got you right there at $22 plus $1 shipping. So about $23, and still a very, very powerful card in this meta. I think a lot of players have adapted and adjusted their deck lists to be able to deal with the Rhino, of course. But I still think it's a very solid card. Not everyone is going to have the answer right away. And I'll tell you this. So if you play like one drop Rhino and they just ink pass, you shift this, that shift Rhino doesn't go anywhere for like 3 turns, and it's going to gain you like 6 lore. And I think it'll do its job by then, right? Because it's going to apply a lot of constant pressure, be like a little sticky body that can't be removed. And I mean, you can't blame the little guy. He's just trapped in a ball, you know. He's just trying to roam around, do his thing. So I personally like this card. I don't think it's going away at all anytime soon.
Yeah, good card is good. Even better than most of the legendaries in this recent Reign of Jafar set. Like Lilo, causing an uproar. This card was selling for like $15, like almost $20 up there with Namari. Market price now is $9.29. Lowest verified is $8.45. So this card also coming down in price. That's for the non-foil. Foils for your Lilo uproars are now at the price that the non-foils were like 3 weeks ago. $17, $15 right here. This card not seeing a lot of play, kind of like the rest of Reign of Jafar. There's so many deck lists, bro, that just play zero cards from this new set. But I do feel like they made this new set with the intention to take into consideration the rotation coming, right? I feel like Lady Family Dog is like the chase of the set. Unfortunately, right? This card is more expensive. It's getting to that point. I think this card's gonna end up being more expensive than like every legendary in that set. $9, lowest verified by Bobadine right here. And this card actually came down in price a little bit. They were selling for around 10, 12-ish dollars. So right now you can get them for less than 10. I think that's a really good deal. Some people are getting multiple copies for less than $10. And I feel like everybody is playing this card in one way or another. Well, number one, there was a lot of aggro decks at the World Championship, and I've been seeing like just a big rise in aggro now because people are like, well, I want to try this deck out, right? And number two, a lot of the aggro decks were using Lady Family Dog. You know how good it is to go Lady Family Dog, play Piglet, next turn Lady Family Dog, play a Doc. Oh, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Gross. It's disgusting, honestly. We are going to see some deck lists come out this next coming weekend. We do have a couple events like the Pro Play Game Summit. Shout outs to all the friends out there that are going to be participating in that weekend long event. There's going to be, I think, two big tournaments. I think the 5K got bumped up to like a 10K, and then there's like a 15K or something like that. So it's going to be huge and a lot of Lorcana going on. So make sure you check our Monday Meta Watch video for those deck lists and those profiles, guys. I can't wait. Honestly, I think the game still is going to survive. It's just going to be up to the community members. It's up to us, right? We have to keep this game alive. If we don't want to play this game, if we're losing interest in it, then it will go away. But again, Ravensburger does need to give us a good game to keep wanting to play. They are letting us know through their weekly lore casts what their plans are and how they plan to, go about the next following season, because they're even giving us some information about season 3 already, which I think kind of they're accepting, and they're listening to the feedback, but they're trying to tell us that there's nothing they can pretty much do about this season, that we're locked into what they have announced and had planned, because again, it's hard to go back on things that were made a year ago, right? But again, staying in this game, not going anywhere. You will see us at events. We will be traveling to the DLC. So make sure you guys come and say hi to us when we are at those events. I honestly can't wait for October. I will be so excited to travel for this card game that I love so much. And it's just like a little reunion every time I get to go and see everybody I haven't seen since like Continentals, right? But yeah, Kevin, do you have any final thoughts on our video today?
The game is dying. Everyone sell all your Lorcana and give it all to me. Give me all your Lorcana, please. Just kidding. No, yeah. I love this game. Like I'm biased. We're obviously biased, right? We have a stake in it. We make YouTube stuff. We sell the cards. We're trying to open up a game store, etc., etc. But this isn't the only game that Zach and I like play, invest our time in. But this is the game that at least, and I think I can speak for both of us when I say this. This is the game that Zach and I love the most. Like playing wise, competitively. Like I know Zach, you're very fond of Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't know, man. I don't know about you, but nothing gives me the tingly sensation in my brain like Lorcana does when I like play a character, bounce a character, swing, heal my character. It just feels so good. Like the game itself is such a great game mechanically. The company itself just has like good leadership on its shoulders. I feel like one of the big disconnects is that and I've said this from the beginning of since Lorcana came out. It feels like whoever is in charge of like all the big decisions for Ravensburger doesn't necessarily feel like Lorcana was going to be as successful of a TCG as it was. It almost felt like they were trying to build like a family game night game, and they accidentally built like Call of Duty for card games. And like there's a big demand. There's a huge demand. There's an enormous demand to want to be the owner of that one of one golden Mickey. And I think in order for to keep that hype, that those dreams alive, to keep the that portion of the game alive, they're gonna have to add a little bit more to the plate, reasonably so. There's I would love to see more events. I would love to see online events. I would love to see more ways to get your nationals invite, and I would love to see the community complain less. And complaining is not a bad thing. I think everybody has a more than reasonable expectation for this season, and people were let down, and it is going to make an impact on the local game store on situation. So like Zach said earlier, if you guys are in an area where they're considering cutting Lorcana, or it's kind of taking a slower break in your local game store area, it really is up to us to kind of keep it alive and keep the game going. But if it's something you can't do, then totally understandable too. Because at the end of the day, it's a hobby. It's not like it's not everyone's priority to keep a to keep a game alive. But I do think that the community is that big and that committed and that positive that the game's gonna stick around. I'm excited to try and get into the DLCs. There's only 3, but I'm gonna try and get into each and every one. Worst case scenario, I get an attendee badge. Worst case scenario, I roll the dice. We fly there anyway. I line up and try and get an attendee badge the day of. Because again, I just like this game. Like if I can go play a bunch of side events and win some mats and some cool promos, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go ahead and try and do that. But we'll see what happens. They're gonna be doing more lore casts as time goes on. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna keep playing the game. I'm gonna keep hosting the people at our spaces where we have our tournaments who want to keep playing the game. And I really appreciate each and every one of you who like, comment, and subscribe, and because you're definitely helping to keep the game alive there. So remember to stay tuned to Lorcana Goons for more. Keep those heads up high. Look forward to the DLCs. I know the 2,000 player cap is a little disheartening, but it's not the end of the world, and there's going to be more stuff in the future for the Lorcana TCG, and I'm pretty positive that it's gonna turn out okay. So we're not in the top 3 anymore, but we're in the top 5 card games. That's saying more than enough, I think.
I think the fact that Lorcana cracked over the big 3 last year is an incredible feat, and you can't deny that. For it to kind of go back down, you know, highs
It's
and
like
lows,
stable.
right?
It's like stabilizing. It's like a stabilization.
It's normal. I think one we have to kind of really consider how new Lorcana is compared to all the other card games above it. So the fact that it blew 2 of the other games out, that one being tremendously older than it and the other being just a couple of years older than it, is still crazy. And again, it's number 5. And if you look at the order of when they were released, it's about that order of release. So it almost makes sense. Like it feels more natural for it to be number 5. It felt a little superficial for it to be number 3, but it's a good sign. But until then, my Lorcana Goons, stay tuned to Lorcana Goons, and we will see you Goons next time.